These damn Marlins. So you got to see what happened yesterday to the Marlins.
I did.
They lost to Jason Vargas. Here's the thing that bothers me more about the fact that the Marlins lost is that I have Jason Vargas on my fantasy team, and you're probably wondering, why do you have Jason Vargas on your fantasy team?
Right.
He's been really bad this year. But I thought last year he had a decent first half, so I'm going to take him late in the draft, and then, when he comes back from injury, it'll be great, because he didn't even injure his throwing hand. He, broke his other hand or something.
Right.
So, Jason Vargas has been on my bench, and this year, Jason Vargas has been dreadful. This is what he's done so far. Negative 19 points, negative 13 points, negative 9 points. Should have dropped this guy a long time ago, right? But I saw the direction he was heading in, and I was like, you know what? There's no one great out there, so I'm just going to keep him on my bench, and he's going to snap out of this. And then yesterday, the Marlins were playing him, and I said, you know what? I should have played Jason Vargas today. I said it in the first inning to myself. I know you're not going to believe it.
Yeah.
I said it to myself.
Right.
I said, self, today's the day you should have started Jason Vargas. Sure enough, 24 points. What a mistake.
Go with your gut instinct, man.
That's what I'm saying. I should have. I overthink these things. I know that you guys feel the same way.
Yeah.
Well, listen, part of fantasy for me, the more interesting story is the fact that you did not start him. If you came in and said, hey, listen, Vargas been bad all year. Great job by me, patting yourself on the back. I started Vargas at home. Great matchup against the Marlins.
You do that.
Yes, but I'm telling you, the non-starts are what drives and fuels. Greg Cote will attest to this. It fuels fantasy players. Mm-hmm. I mean, you remember all the misses that you've had, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. The bloodstream of fantasy sports is constant, unrelenting regret over moves not made. That's why, different sport, but, one of Greg's Lobo's credos is you go with your gut instinct. If you decide to start the guy who never plays ahead of the starting tailback, go with it. Don't second guess yourself.
It's a hell of a credo.
Thank you.
A little bit wordy.
It was a little wordy.
The only way you brag about that is if Jason Vargas was out there with negative 41 points and you said, you know what, I got a feeling about this kid today, and you pick him up and then he gets to 24 points, that's how you talk about him. But you know what I had the other day, Dan? I know you find this interesting. The other day I had the classic accidental non-start that benefited me. When Jake Arrieta pitched against the Marlins and he had a negative 20 performance, but I didn't start him in time, so he was on my bench. Ended up winning the week by 10 points. Saved me.
Nice no start.
The best.
Good job out of you. That's the best feeling ever, isn't it?
Take credit for it, man.
It really is. Isn't that a great feeling?
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, everybody else, I'll tell I knew, the last time that he played the Marlins, things didn't go well for him. So I said, I'm going to start and keep him on the bench. That's not what happened, though. That was a lie.
What's the better feeling? Benching a guy who has a terrible start or a terrible game, okay? Or playing a guy that you really shouldn't play based on gut alone, and he has a monster performance for you. Is that it, Greg?
Oh, that's the best. Man.
Yeah, that's the best.
You find the hidden gem.
Yeah.
You dust it off, and it shines for all to see. Amazing.
Fantasy is such a good feeling.
I love it.
The thing is that when you're bad, you kind of I give up on fantasy very easily if I'm not good. And this league has so many people in it. There's 12 people, and the rosters are huge where it's impossible to find people.
That's what side bets are for, man. Keeps you interested. I have a side bet with every individual team in my league. Yeah, they keep interested because Billy's right. If you're out of it after a couple of months, you're done. So I just have side bets with everyone. Category side bets, team side bets, everything.
I've already stopped paying attention to my fantasy baseball
See, that's
team.
the thing.
Side bets.
We're 7 weeks in, but you've already given up.
I have guys in my league texting me. They're like, I know it's good that you're not doing it this week because you're playing me, but next week, could you set your lineup?
Yeah.
Oh, they want you to try next week?
Right.
Well, no, and then you try to, I'm sure they've already tried to start getting Chris's best players, right?
Yeah, a lot of trade offers.
Oh, God.
Who's got Mookie Betts? That's my question.
Ooh, good question.
I got him in my baseball league.
Do you really?
I do. Inferno took him. I didn't take him.
Is that a man or a goal man?
I have Bryce Harper and Shohei Ohtani just on a useless team I'm not looking at.
What's wrong with you?
No, I have Mookie Betts. I really do.
No, it's always convenient.
And I have Bogarts. I do. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. Listen, I didn't draft the team. I hired a ringer to do it for me. He took Mookie Betts. That's why we win every year.
But everyone knows that you are absolutely the guy that if anyone says, this guy's having a monster fantasy team, you're the guy who comes in with, he's on my team, even if you're not playing fantasy in that sport.
Inferno's good.
It's such a great feeling, Dan, when someone has a great season and you took them in the second round or you took them the fourth round and they become the MVP. It's I saw this coming.
Yeah. You feel like a genius. It's like drafting Brady in the 6th round. round.
Last year I had JD Martinez. I took him in like the 7th round, and he was on the DL. So I just had him on my bench, and I'm like, you know what? He'll be okay.
Right.
And he had a monster year. And this year he went in the 1st round.
I picked up Deshaun Watson off the waiver wire in football this year. How about that? How about that?
Delicious.
I bet you did.
All right, exactly. Perfect.
Right.
I mean, listen, I'm on a nice little run right now. I just won football, and I won basketball, and I think I'm going to win baseball.
Stugotz, as soon as Belichick, when Bledsoe's lungs filled with blood, as soon as Belichick put Brady in, Stugotz had Brady on his fantasy team, even though fantasy hadn't even been invented.
Right. And signed him to like a 15-year contract.
Right.
Yeah.
Winning the league
right away.
Winning the league is what keeps you going. Like, I keep saying, because I'm so tired of fantasy baseball, but I keep saying, like, I'm just going to win this year and then I'll be done. I'll go out on top. Because I won 2 times, like, in the first 3 or 4 years. So I had that taste. And I had the victory, and I was dominating, and I haven't won in like 8 or 9 years since, and it feels so bad. I feel like such a loser. And I know that I'm judged because of my job, that I should be better at fantasy sports, but I'm really not. Like, I don't know more than any of these other people. And somehow they all have a lot more time than I do to be doing research and finding these players and getting them at like 2 in the morning and 2 weeks before they get called up. Where do they find the time? I don't have the time, and I should have the time.
That's why I hired Inferno. I mean, he had more time than I had, and I just said, listen, I'm going to partner with this guy.
Do you feel more pressure to win because of your job?
Yes, I did, and I wasn't winning, and people were making fun of me, and so I needed to figure out a way, and the way was Inferno. By the way, I got to tell you, man, the year I had Maris, got him in the 6th or 7th round, and he blew up for me. Blew up. 61. How about that? I won homers that year.
Billy, you remember when Stugotz got Cy Young?
Oh my God, Cy Young.
Some beauties.
Talk about an innings eater.
Yeah.
Cy Young. He's the best pitcher of all time, Cy Young. We can agree with that, right? I've talked to you about his 1896 season. I can go on and on all day about Cy Young and his years. Not enough credit, Cy Young.
Cody, why don't you play baseball? Why don't you play baseball fantasy?
It's too time consuming to me. Too many games. That's why I love football. It's once a week. It's regimented. I'm on a set schedule. Baseball, basketball, hockey. I don't do any of those things. Golf, a PGA Tour fantasy league does interest me, quite frankly.
Fantasy football is the easiest in terms of commitment. Fantasy baseball is a commitment because you have every day. Now, basketball, I think, is more of a commitment because basketball players don't play every day. So you have to go in there. Baseball, you can kind of set up by week, and you don't have to pay as close attention. But if you want to get people, you need to be in there constantly. Football is the easiest, especially if you have like waivers and you can only get them by a certain time. But if you're like in a fantasy baseball league with no waiver wire, you need to be constantly paying attention. It's a job. It's a job in itself, Dan.
It's a full-time job.
Why aren't you into this, Dan?
Seriously.
Oh, I can't think of anything less interesting than you guys talking about fantasy sports.
But it's you could be part of this. Look how happy it makes us.
I like baseball plenty without having to have, needing Miguel Rojas to have a big game.
If you have Miguel Rojas on your team, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's a bad team right
big
there.
trouble.
When he hit 2 homers the other day, you guys are saying that the best feeling in the world. I just heard Stugotz say it. The best feeling in the entire world is doing something successfully in fantasy. If you had Miguel Rojas the other day, you would have had 2 homers.
One of them,
nailing it on a sleeper. I had one year that I had Rod Barajas. He killed it for me.
Yeah, how many homers that year? Let me see if I'm
going to nice little plug and play guy. He wasn't even my catcher one.
Don't tell me the year. I'm going to check out Rod Barajas' stats, and I'm going to guess the year.
I think didn't he have double-digit homers one year? I know he hit a World Series homer, Rod Barajas.
Yeah, Util standard. For the 52s.
Here's an amendment to that original point of the best feeling in the world is when you have someone no one expects to do something good. The best feeling in the world never involves Miguel Rojas. Ever. Never, ever.
Ramon Castro.
No,
why would you have him?
Let's just play the game of old catchers. I like this game of old catchers.
Bob Nadel.
Bob Nadel. I didn't like Bob Nadel.
Backup catchers, though.
No, I didn't like
Paul
Bob Nadel.
Couldn't hit a lick, but Maddox liked him.
Eddie Perez,
solid.
Mike had Barajas back in 2009.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
What'd he do?
17 ding-dongs.
That is so good for a backup seat.
For a backup catcher?
For a backup seat.
17 ding-dongs?
17.
That's good for a starting catcher.
339 at-bats.
Guessing
Wow.
he had a lot of at-bats that season.
Who is a starting catcher?
I mean, I don't know. But if he plays a full season, that's 34, right?
Who's the dude for Oakland? Suzuki. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Kurt Suzuki.
Kurt Suzuki.
Old motorcycle. It's America's drug, really, fantasy. People give betting and gambling credit for buoying sports and goosing the ratings and everything. It's fantasy that does it.
It seems like an interesting way to keep baseball, keep your baseball interest if baseball's too slow for you and you don't actually love baseball.
Oh, for sure. And that's how you learn actual baseball players' names, because of fantasy. If not, you wouldn't know baseball players or what they're doing.
Right.
You're constantly keeping track of what they're doing because you want to get them on your team. And then you're like, oh, this random person from Seattle's having a great year. Like, there's this catcher, Harrison, or not catcher, outfielder for the Mariners that has like 10 home runs. His name's like Harrison. I keep trying to get him. He's like really good. He's like a power-hitting outfielder in Seattle no one knows about.
I don't even pay attention to the standings until July, but because of fantasy, you care in April and May. It's great for the sport.
Dan still cares about baseball, though, I think, right?
I like watching baseball.
Because fantasy baseball absolutely keeps me up to speed, up to date with what's going on in baseball, because I've lost some interest in it over the years, but I think Dan still loves it.
Oh, but I have lost interest as well in baseball, especially the style of baseball that's being played now, where, you know, the Brewers call somebody up, and in his first game he's got 13 strikeouts, and I'm watching several innings where no one's making contact.
You know what's more annoying to me than Dan winning the fantasy football championship a couple years ago when he doesn't care about fantasy football is when people send me these one-sided trades thinking that I'm some sort of dummy. This guy keeps trying to trade me Brad Hand. I don't want Brad Hand for anything. Why do you keep trying to package in Brad Hand on trades with me?
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Was Brad Hand a dark time in your life? Brad Hand pitching for the Marlins, and they kept telling you he's going to be the future as a lefty starter, and every game it's 7 walks.
He was an all-star last year. I just don't want him on my team. I don't need a reliever Brad Hand for anything. I have 2 good relievers.
Bobby Estelela.
Oh, man, that's solid, man. Wow.
Pat Borders.
Wow.
Doug Mirabelli.
Whoa! Mirabelli!
Anyone say Ron Karkovic?
Wait a minute. Didn't Pat Borders start in a World Series?
I believe he had a big home run in the World
I don't
Series.
think Pat Borders works as a backup. I think Pat Borders is a starter.
Really? I think most of his career was a backup. He probably had a nice little starter run.
I'm pretty sure that he did things in a World Series, not unlike your beloved Rod Barajas.
Mitch Haniger, man, look at this. 11 home runs, 36 RBIs, 298. This guy's killing it this year. 3 stolen bases. The problem is now that I've said it on the air, I've lost all my leverage in getting him.
He was good last year. I had him.
But who knows about him?
Inferno. Time on his hands.
A texter writes in, this is the worst way you guys have ever started a show. Please don't ever give Billy the reins again. Holy bleep.
Washing my nose, oh yeah.
I'm a shower curtain, and I do one thing. Keep water from leaking everywhere. So you see why I feel useless compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could Geico save you money, but they've been around for over 75 years. And they give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or on the Geico app. And they've got a 97% customer satisfaction rating. They do all this while I have to listen to this chucklehead. Oh, good, he stopped.
Washing my toes.
Oh, great, an encore.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Don Batard.
Stugotz is raving about what has been his rewarded laziness of having Publix delivered to his house. Life-changing. It was totally great the first time. Then the second time, he's complaining because, the person's calling and texting his wife and saying they're out of this, and it arrives 4 hours late, and he's like, man, this isn't worth it. And then this is how he finishes it. And I'm not making this up. I can't believe I'm not making this up. Do you even know what you did afterward?
I do.
Stugotz.
He's like, favorite hour of the week, walking through the aisles at Publix. Cathartic. Get away from my family, can think to myself, can just...
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you having someone do it for you?
Good point.
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
In about 20 minutes, we talk to a guy who's going to swim from San Francisco to Tokyo.
What?
In 20 minutes, we talk to a guy who's going to swim from San Francisco to Tokyo.
Why don't you just take a boat? Be quicker.
Exactly. Plane, even faster. Yeah.
We're going to do First Take at 11 o'clock. The shows are going to merge. Greg Cote's feelings are hurt that he's going to get kicked out of the studio. I don't understand some of the stuff that we do to genuflect at the shrine of First Take. People are buzzing around here. There are people around here I haven't seen in months making sure that, we can go to air correctly. They don't care every day whether we go to air, but today they care.
Right. Mothership, man.
LeBron, and this is a fairly amazing thing to say, he's the most talked about athlete of our time. He might be the most talked about athlete of all time in America. And you remember, all of you remember, what he did to save the blueprint in Boston in a Game 6 when it seemed after losing the championship the year before, being pushed to the brink, a road elimination game, Game 6. You all remember it, and now you're surprised if he doesn't have that game.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's crazy. Do you realize how crazy that is? That last night he put up that game, and you're like, yeah.
It's what you expected LeBron to do.
But I'm saying, when we saw it the first time, when we saw it against Boston at a time that mattered, all of us remember, holy bleep, he's carrying everyone against Garnett and Pierce and Ray Allen.
Yeah.
And my guess is that stat line pales compared to the one he put up last night. I'm doing that off the top of my head. If nothing else, my guess is that they're about the same. They're about the same stat line.
I'm checking it right now. Yeah, I think you're probably right.
He's made a 35 or 40-point game seem ordinary in the playoffs. I don't know any. Even Jordan never had that to me. LeBron is just.
Jordan did have that.
Well, LeBron's got 6 40-point games in this postseason, I believe.
I think Jordan's the other guy to do it, though. Or Iverson. I'm sorry. It wasn't Jordan. You're right. Iverson did it.
He's the greatest.
Brad Stevens overrated. Wow. A little bit, huh?
What? A little bit.
Championship teams win a road game. Whoa. They find a way.
Wow. You the other day you chose Brad Stevens over LeBron. If you could have Brad Stevens or LeBron, you chose Brad Stevens.
Yeah, I heard that.
You did Kawhi.
Thing
you
that
did
happened.
Kawhi. I would have won.
Drove off
very
the road.
different. You changing the math on me. I mean, Kawhi is a totally different animal.
The other day, 2 games ago, the ESPN.com asked the question, would you rather have Brad Stevens or a superstar? And you took Brad Stevens. Yeah. That's a thing that happened on this radio.
Yeah. In my defense, I said if I'm the Kings, I take Brad Stevens.
Right. Over LeBron?
No, over Kawhi, you guys. I don't know why we're moving the goalpost on me.
None of which matters.
Clearly, he's not a good coach anymore.
Wow.
LeBron had in Game 6 45 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 73% from the field.
Brad Stevens had 0 points.
That sounds like what he did yesterday. Crazy. That sounds like what he did yesterday.
Well, he was 17 to 28, 44 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. So the game he had for us was better.
When is basketball going to start back up? This is so boring.
Yep. Stinks.
It's so boring. The only thing that kept me going was LeBron losing. And now that he's winning again, not as fun. Boring. Off-season, please.
I agree. Every game's a rout. Even last night, although it was it ended up being 11 points. That was the first. Close.
It was actually a single-digit game.
9 point.
Yeah.
Didn't feel close to me.
Is basketball the only sport where people like watching the off-season more than the actual playoffs?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, this isn't a normal thing, though. It's just until, recently where the offseason in the NBA became the thing. And also the playoffs used to be a lot better. This stupid foregone conclusion. These games are bad.
Well, I think we should probably get back to the more important discussion, which is during the break, you being stunned by both the nationality and the age of Francisco Cervelli.
Yeah. I was convinced Francisco Cervelli was a 44-year-old Italian father of 3. Mm-hmm. Turns out he's a Venezuelan and he's younger than me. Was not mentally prepared for Francisco Cervelli to be 32 years old and Venezuelan and having possibly, not even possibly, a solid argument, best season of his career. He's already one shy of his career high for home runs. Francisco Cervelli, I was in grade school when that guy was backup catching for the New York Yankees. And it was such a great story. I just imagine Francisco Cervelli walking up from Little Italy, knocking on the clubhouse door saying, hey, give me a shot, and playing for the Bronx.
He's a no batting gloves guy, right?
Is he?
I think he is. I love a no batting gloves guy.
No, very uneasy. Very uneasy around no batting gloves guy.
Why?
Because I just I fear shaking their hands.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Yeah, a lot of calluses there.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. I don't wear a golf glove. Do you guys?
You don't wear a golf glove?
Yeah, I don't like it. No.
That's strange because you're really into golf.
Yeah, no, I don't like a glove.
I don't think that's the same thing.
It's exactly rubber.
I think it is the same thing.
I'm surprised.
Yeah,
Patrick
at all.
Stugotz is the guy that gets all the equipment. Like, you wear everything
No,
available.
in fact, that guy is Mike Ryan.
I'm actually that guy.
Mike Ryan showed up. I was embarrassed to go golfing with Mike Ryan.
I look good.
I mean, you look good. You didn't look like anyone else in my club, though.
I looked good until I started swinging.
You have one of those, like, range finders?
Yeah, range finder.
You can't be like, Mike got everything.
No, my golf cart had it GPS. I don't need a range finder.
Wait, was Mike wearing long pants?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he was.
my God.
There's
Middle
a
of the
picture
summer.
of it, yeah.
Middle of the summer, July.
I'm telling you, he had like a Ricky Fowler type getup. I'm not even joking. Yes.
And it was black pants. Black pants. Black pants.
Tiger
high noon.
club heads.
Black pants high noon July.
I just noticed your hat today is a Ping hat that I'm sure you bought for a golf outing.
Yeah. You know what my old motto is? The credo. Look good, play good.
Yeah. But you look good and played awfully, man.
That wasn't hey, I surprised you.
You did surprise me at a couple of holes.
I had a couple good swings.
Yeah.
That's what keeps you coming back, really.
One good shot
yeah,
will
that's
keep
all
you
it
coming.
takes.
Yeah.
One good shot.
All it takes.
I'm good
good
for
shot.
the one good shot where I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get the hang of this.
I say that all the time in golf. You hit one on a par 3, you luck out and put it 4 feet from the cup, and I say to myself, Tiger Woods would love that shot.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He would. There were a couple with the hybrids, too. Remember when I got a couple with the hybrid? Oh, my God.
No, you're good with the hybrids. What's frustrating about golf is their bad shots are shots that we would kill for.
Right.
The guys on tour, they're bad shots. Like, they're 15 feet from the cup, and like I'd be jumping around the fairway celebrating, and those guys are upset they're not 5 feet from the cup.
That's what I love about a guy named like John Daly, is that every once in a while he will actually top the ball just like I do.
Yes.
Or hit it in the lake 5 times in a row.
Correct.
We got to play. It's been a long time since I played. The last time I played was in January, and I almost killed Placido Polanco.
Stugotz has been saying we're going to play for like 10 years. Wait, what?
Yeah, I keep hearing about that.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on you. In my defense, okay, because the only one who's worse about this stuff than me is your dad. How many times have I asked your dad for a weekend that works for him?
That's true.
Thank you.
We need to go back to what Mike just said, though.
All right. Yeah, Polanco. What
I
happened?
played during New Year's.
Placido
Yeah, no, it
Polanco.
was the greens. I played at Mikitsuki.
Sounds like an opera singer.
Placido Polanco. I was paired randomly with Placido Polanco.
You're paired with him?
Yeah, I was paired with him. It was me, Chris Whittingham, Placido Polanco, and some guy that's Placido Polanco's friend.
Wow.
He's not wearing a hat out there, right?
Put that on the poll, please.
he?
Placido
He has that
Polanco.
dome. I was just picturing him no hat.
Yeah.
Baseball player or opera singer?
Exactly.
So there was this one time where I was lining up on the green, and he was near the trap, and my ball came howling towards him, and I yelled, "Hot corner."
What?
He got out of the way. He had to jump.
So you were speaking his language.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I understand
Hot corner.
that. Yes.
Jump. He still got the reflexes.
What would
man.
you have said if he was a football player? Like, is it a wide receiver?
Blindside. Ball. Oski.
I assume he's decent.
Oh man, he's. I mean, beautiful swing.
He probably hated playing with you and Whittingham.
Yeah, no, he separated from us. Like we played the front 9, and then he's like, "All right, guys, we're gonna go over here."
Right.
It was a shame, and because then I really turned it on. Placido Polanco would have been proud. Back
holes.
9 was way better.
9 holes and 4.5 hours later, he departed from you guys.
We actually got back to the clubhouse at the same time. I was I was playing so well on the back 9 that I was like, damn, I wish Placido Polanco saw this right now.
Placido Polanco went to Miami-Dade College.
Yeah.
How about that?
You know who else
Shark.
did? You know who else did?
Mike Piazza?
Mike Piazza.
Yeah.
And I believe Raul Ibanez also. See, like, I rep the U, as you know, but like everybody in Miami, I didn't have the grades to get in there. It's more of a city thing. So I actually went to Miami-Dade, and I kind of went to FIU, but I'm proud of Miami-Dade.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't
Did
like...
A-Rod go to Miami-Dade as well?
No. He went to Westminster and then straight to the pros.
Sure about that?
Yeah. He was going to go to Miami, and that's why he has the field named after him.
Yeah, but I thought he went to M/D before he went to...
No, why would he go to Miami-Dade College before getting his scholarship?
Looking for an education,
He went from
man.
Westminster.
You never know if that
and
baseball thing's going to work
He
out.
was going to go to be a Cane. That's why his name's on the field.
So you had him going to college and then getting the scholarship?
His name's on the field because he gave about $20 million. That's why his name's
He
on
was
the field.
gonna go to the University of Miami, which you know, why isn't Mike Piazza doing more for this program?
Yeah.
It's a good point.
He should be the face of Miami-Dade College.
Oh, yeah.
He should be.
Yeah.
We had a lot of good players there. Placido Polanco, Raul Ibanez, Mike Piazza. That's actually, I mean, that's almost as good as Mississippi State, really. When you think about it.
Legendary coach Demi Maneri? Was that his name?
Demi Maneri for
Wasn't that his name?
Miami-Dade?
Yeah, the legendary
The
baseball
legendary. Yeah, so clearly legendary.
No,
right up
look
there with
it up,
Jim
man.
Morris.
I think it was Demi Maneri.
You can't say someone's legendary and then not know their name.
Yeah, I just did. Demi Maneri.
Demi Maneri?
Let me look it up.
Demi Maneri or Demi Lameri?
No,
Here he
I think
is,
it's
Demi
Maneri.
Maneri, American college
Is it
baseball
Demi?
coach.
Demi? You know, I was supposed to be in striptease, too, with Demi Moore.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
That's it. I was a child actor. What? And I had the final callbacks for striptease, and then Demi changed the part so she could cast her daughter. I was really bummed. I would have been in that movie with Armand Assante.
Could have been life-changing for you,
Burt
man.
Reynolds. I actually could have been in 2 Burt Reynolds movies. I actually won a part for Cop in the Half. Yeah, my mom pulled me, though. This was the height of the AIDS crisis and AIDS hysteria, and Ray Sharkey played the villain in Cop and a Half, and my mom pulled me from the movie.
I cannot believe I went golfing with you that day. I have the picture. My goodness,
How good do I
man.
look?
Demi Maneri got into the College Baseball Hall of Fame in 2014.
You're welcome.
Legend.
Miami-Dade Community College coach for 30 years, the big 3-0.
Was that a good sigh or a bad sigh when you were looking at my photo?
First junior college coach to win 1,000 games.
We should do something for him.
Yeah, we should.
Is it wearing neon orange?
Named the
were.
show after him.
Demi Maneri Day.
The Demi Maneri, Dan Lebitard with Stugotz show.
There is nothing worse than a guy who dresses the part but can't play the part.
The worst. Stu, would he take a long time, too? Like, before shots? Or was he
my
gripping
God.
rip?
I'd line it up. Well, first I had to consult the rangefinder.
He's over the ball like
Let's look at
Sergio
him.
Garcia.
A million practice swings.
Hey, will you?
He had everything. He had like the little brush to clean off his clubs
Yeah,
after he took
yeah.
a shot.
Circling the putt like 6 times.
Cleaned every ball.
His putting stroke is so weird, and it's like a driver.
And anytime I made contact, I would just go, someone's pin hunting.
Oh, no.
It could be just slicing right into the woods.
no.
like
Pin
a,
hunting.
like a screamer right across the ground, going straight for a leg. Pin hunting.
Pin hunting today.
This is your bedroom. This is your bedroom with Blue Chew. Blue Chew uses the same active ingredients as in Viagra or Cialis, but now comes in chewable form. Chewable means better, cheaper, and works faster than pills. No in-person doctor visit, no waiting in line, no more awkwardness. 100% online at BlueChew.com, where your first order is free. Just pay $5 shipping. Use promo code DAN at BlueChew.com and restart the party.
You can follow his journey across the Pacific in real time, live video, Seeker.com, weekly updates on the Discovery Channel. He has already done this with the Atlantic, although it has not been recognized by the Guinness World Records. And we will get to that in a second. Thank you for joining us, Ben. You are doing this in order to make people aware of all the trash that we leave in the ocean. When you did this with the Atlantic, what kind of stuff did you run across?
Hi, good morning. In the Atlantic, not too much. And the trash we are going to find out are not going to be big pieces of plastic floating. The trash that you have are what is called microplastic or microfibers. So you need to have a special net in order for you to get it, and after to measure what type of density is in the water.
When you did this in the Atlantic, what's the most scared you were?
You know, having a shark following you for 5 days, I think it's pretty scary. And sometimes big weather, big waves that pushed me a few times against the boat. So, I had a tough moment.
Hold on a second. Why was a shark following you for 5 days, and what kind of shark was it?
It was a blue shark, about 8 feet long. And I think it was just curiosity. Never show any sign of being aggressive. Was just curious, just staying around, going around, and we had a device that creates a magnetic field in the water, and that repels the shark. So it just at a certain distance at all times.
Ben, I've had relationships that didn't last 5 days of curiosity.
Yeah, but it's got this ring around it. I guess that the shark can't even get the bend if it wanted to. You should have that kind of ring around you.
I kind of do, emotionally. So
it's Mike.
So explain this to us. What does this feel like? What level of fatigue? How are you resting? When are you resting? What are you eating? There's a boat alongside you, yes?
Yeah, so exactly. So I swim 8 hours a day beside the boat, and when I am finished, then we log in the GPS location, and I go on the boat, sleep on the boat, eat on the boat, and the next morning they bring me back to that location. but there is a crew on board. So while I will be swimming, they will be collecting data about, the plastic being one, but acidification, about radioactivity, about phytoplankton, microbiome. So they have more than 1,000 different samples that they will collect. And some of them also, it's on me, monitoring my heart and my microbiome too. So they are going to be very busy doing those measurements.
Ben, when you're in the midst of swimming continuously for 2 to 4 hours and the urge strikes, is it considered acceptable to urinate in the ocean?
Yeah, because I do that to stay warm as well. The water is pretty cold, so to have that in the wetsuit, that just warms up a little. It's a little gross, but what can you do?
Beautiful.
You got to do what you got to do, right, Ben?
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. Why did Guinness not recognize you?
For the Atlantic swim, it was different. So it was not a stage swim. A stage swim is what I will be doing in the Pacific, meaning that each time I will go back in the water will be where I stopped previously. So all the miles are going to be swum. For the Atlantic, it was a drift swim. So when I was on the boat was drifting, and then I was going back in the water at the time. They could have accredited the swim also for the during the Atlantic, but I didn't. It wasn't my purpose. It wasn't something I was thinking about doing, so I didn't follow the procedure in order to keep track of the progress and all that. It wasn't my goal at the time. It was a total different swim.
Excuse me. What was the closest you were to quitting the first time you did this? When you did the Atlantic?
Yeah, those thoughts come into your mind almost every day. Sometimes it's much more difficult to deal with than others. And we had some issue with the water maker also on the boat and couldn't use as much water to rinse ourselves and all that. That made it also very difficult. But that's a struggle that you have to go through every day. That comes in your mind. You don't have a really easy day. When you wake up in the morning, you are tired and you are in pain. You don't sleep very well on the boat usually. So you start the day with not being 100%.
Ben, is what you're doing more taxing physically or mentally?
I think it's a good point. I think it's physically, it's difficult, but then you are going to get used to the rhythm, and after it's mentally that you have to push it. It's mind over matter. And every day, you have to push yourself to jump in the water and to keep on going. It's a challenge, and I have different ways to deal with it and to prepare my mind and to know what I'm going to be thinking for those 8 hours while I swim, because the mind is the most challenging part of all that.
Explain the pain to us, please.
The pain can be, it changes. So it can be physical pain or it can be mental pain. But when you swim, you are going to be in pain anyway, your shoulders or your lower back, because I use fins, so it creates some pressure on your lower back. And then after you have the pain of not being in contact with people, the pain of just being, looking at the same blue background, having the same water rushing by your ear. So you hear the same noise all the time, the same feel of the water on your hand and face, and you are deprived of so many stimuli. So you feel that you are isolated. You are just there alone, and you feel very small. And it's very humbling at the same time, but it's very painful to be physically and mentally in pain, knowing that you are just alone. You don't have anything around but your thoughts.
How long will it take?
Around 6 months or so, give or take, but who is counting? Huh?
You're talking about the mental. I imagine it's pretty meditative, the idea of swimming, that you just sort of transport yourself. Are there ever any easy 8-hour days? Like any days that go by very quickly?
No, you're right. It's how well you will be meditating and how well you can transport yourself somewhere else. So I do different type of exercise, but the goal is to dissociate your mind from your body and have your mind being, somewhere reliving a moment, and your body is just an autopilot swimming. The better you can do that, and then the better day you will have. But at the same time, you have amazing encounters, like a dolphin coming and swim with you. That's an amazing moment, then you know that your day is going to be pretty good when that happens.
Ben, one of the many scientific institutions collaborating with you on this journey is NASA. What does a space agency gain from what you're doing?
So, yeah, it's interesting because you have a few parallels between what I'm going to do being in low gravity and what astronauts experience when they are in space. They want to know the fact that I'm going to exercise so much, if it's going to change anything with my bone density. And also the extreme endurance. They're interested to see about my heart, how it's going to affect it, or if it's going to affect it. And another thing is the eye, pressure of the eye. For some reason, apparently, that's an issue with the astronauts, not having the same pressure when they are in space. And here, since I'm going to be in low gravity for many hours, and when I'm on the boat, I'm going to be laying down anyway most of the time. So they want to see if there is any change just by the positioning.
When you were going across the Atlantic, what was the most blissful moment that you had connecting with nature? Is it that what you mentioned about the dolphins, or is it something else?
No, absolutely. That was the dolphin, and at the same time, it was also scary, but very amazing moment. It was with the shark, knowing that the shark was there, because before jumping in the water, I could see the fin going around the boat, and jumping in that water and being around. It was it was something very humbling to have a big animal being around, being just curious, and it was amazing. These were amazing moments.
If you want to watch his journey across the Pacific in real time, Tokyo to San Francisco, live video, Seeker.com, and also the Discovery Channel. Has anyone informed you that you're doing this during typhoon season?
Typhoon season will start pretty soon, but it's not going to be. That's why we need to leave pretty soon to avoid those typhoons.
Are the waves crazy? Like when you did the Atlantic, you have to get out of the water when the waves are too much, right?
It just depends. Sometimes you have big waves, but they are big roller coaster, and you can have nice body surf on them. The problem is when the waves are in all directions and they crash, and it's difficult to keep track of the boat, and for the boat, difficult to keep track of me. So that's when it's difficult. Otherwise,
difficult to keep track of the boat. You don't know where the boat is.
No, because the boat is trailing a line, and I'm just keeping direction based on that line, like the line that you have at the bottom of a pool. The boat has a boom extended with a line that goes under, and I just stay on top of it. That gives me the direction. So if the boat is being bounced around and move faster in some ways and other, then I lose track of that line.
Ben, good luck. Thank you for being on with us. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for your interest.
Yes, sir. The texters are beating the rush here to Guillermo. Guillermo, last time we did anything like this. Yes, Guillermo, last time we did anything like this with the paddleboarder, all you did was question the guy. You called him a fraud, you called him counterfeit, and now you got a lot of people, release the chickens on this guy. It sounds like he's going for a dip on a cruise. I could swim across the Pacific this way, too. This guy's a bigger fraud than the paddleboarder.
It feels like this luxury yacht just goes, it goes for a few hours. He jumps in the pool, back in the luxury yacht. I'm with Guillermo on this. Yeah. I don't think he's swimming at all.
I haven't said a word.
Stugotz, you should have seen your face at the very mention of the idea that there was a shark in the water. The face of bravery. You who called 911 on a frog.
Yeah, it was a
sitting
bullfrog.
Here saying it's like a cruise ship.
Yeah.
You, the guy who betrayed his daughter by refusing to do a zip line. The face of courage here on the radio.
It does seem like he could swim for like 10, 15 minutes at a time if he wants to, and then get out and hop back in whenever it's convenient.
Little filet mignon, watch a TV show. Yeah.
We also need to check to see which way the current is going, right? Because if you're swimming with the current, you're basically just laying there.
That's how I've got it. I've got him on his back with his arms behind his head, just like going with the current.
Right.
Like blowing water out of his mouth, just like...
Let the current take you where it takes you. You got him in a tube, right? Like a lazy river?
Probably got a propeller hooked to his feet.
It seems like kind of a fraud. It's not going to count my personal record book. I mean, I know Guinness is the book he wants to get into, but I'm just telling you, even if he gets into Guinness, it ain't counting my personal record book. I would do it without a yacht. And without that little field around you that keeps sharks away from you. How about that? Allows dolphins through, though? I mean, anyway.
What do you imagine the shark's doing when it swims into the force field? It's like, oh, there's some. Ow!
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe this idiot is so deep into the ocean. Let me go get some of this. Ah!
He's mine.
Ah! Why aren't there any other sharks here noticing this delectable thing? Ah!
Sounds like you're with us, Dan, on this guy.
I think you guys are bleep holes. That's pretty much where I'm with you guys on this. Yeah, the idea that someone should just swim across the ocean with no help, that seems wise.
Well, he's got plenty of help.
That's
a force field around.
You do realize that would be a human impossibility, right? To swim across an ocean without any help.
I mean, NASA's with them.
Just give me some floaties. That's all I need.
Just some floaties for your arms.
Yeah.
Just a couple for your arms.
I really don't get what he's doing. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not, impressive. It is. But if the people on the boat are collecting these things with nets, why is he getting off of the boat? Just stay in the boat for 6 months. What are you getting out of this swim? You're just putting yourself in danger. His eyes can pop out of his head or something, he said. Did you hear that? The eye pressure thing? Yeah. Why would you risk that? If anyone ever told me this is something that could cost you your eyes, no thanks. I'm good.
He's got to be so pruny.
It's too bad you couldn't jump in there and ask that question.
Pruny.